Good afternoon. This is Pete Burns with the Energy Conservatory. I want to thank you folks for attending our webinar today. We'll be talking about using Wi-Fi devices to do blower door tests. Got a lot of things we'll try and cover for you today. And let's get that going. Really, the key right now for you folks to unlock the wireless potential is using the TEC Wi-Fi link. TEC Wi-Fi link essentially cuts the cord between your DG700 and whatever, whether or not you're using a laptop computer or if you're using some of the new handheld devices, iPhones, Android phones. The Wi-Fi links are compatible with all vintage DG700s. They actually use the power from the DG700. One of the things that you'll have to bear in mind is that that DG700 that you're so fond of having run for months and months and months, you will burn through your batteries faster. You'll go from about 100 hours continuous runtime down to about 10 hours of runtime. So one of the things to always keep in mind if you're using the Wi-Fi link is to power it down. There also is an adapter set that you can purchase. It's essentially a Y adapter that'll power both the DG700 and the Wi-Fi link simultaneously. But you'll have to plug in at that point. So once again, Wi-Fi link is it's an adapter. It puts out. It's not connecting you to the internet. It's essentially a Wi-Fi hotspot, if you will, that your device, either PC or your handheld devices, connect to. And again, works with PC, iPhone, iPad. No cables, no USB cable, no serial cable. No need to set up in a dangerous situation like this old picture with a Pentium 1 cabled up to a DG700. You can sit at the dining room table and run your test. Some of the tests that you can do, depending on what software you're running, you could do your blower door test, your duct leakage testing. You could do diagnostic testing, CAS testing. You can run our Multifan software called TechLog 3. And there's also a new feature out right now on Android devices called Capture. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but Capture feature allows you to create reports from your Android device. In the future, this is where we're going. This is what our new gauge is going to look like. We demoed this at the Affordable Comfort Conference last week. And if time allows at the end, we'll show some functionality of that gauge. But this new gauge will have Wi-Fi built into it, so it will communicate with all your devices. But that is what the new TEC gauge will look like. Let's talk a little bit about the PC-enabled softwares right out of the blocks. Historically, people have used TechTite. All of our software packages, TechTite, TechTite Express, TechLog 3 have added Wi-Fi testing capability. The only software legacy software that hasn't received that upgrade yet is TechBlast. If anybody uses TechBlast, TechBlast is still a manual data entry software. So if you're in a location that has a requirement for testing, for duct testing, that someone's looking for a report, you're either going to do it manually on a piece of paper, you're going to manually data enter it on TechBlast, or if you have an Android device, you could use Android Capture to record your test results. Why run software? Why use software to run a test? Historically, an old shot of yours truly doing an old school Magnehelic, doing a test with Magnehelic gauges, rocking a sweet mullet. We used to just grab those old gauges, zero them out, and go to town. But with the advent of the digital pressure gauges, we've got much greater accuracy, much greater precision, and the resolution is much better on the new gauges. And having the new gauge, we can communicate with the gauge to a piece of software. The software will let you run the ResNet tests. It'll let you run an automated test, a semi-automatic test, or even a manual test. These automated tests allow you to create an archive, a digital archive, that you save your tests, and you can zip them out. You can save them as PDF files and zip them off to a code official in just a matter of seconds, or put it on a flash drive and hand it off. Code compliance is driving most of this these days. And if you're in a state that has the new test requirements, either on blower or duct blast testing, we're all being asked to come up with reports. And there's a bunch of forms out there. Some states have really grabbed this and are working with some of the DET programs and have forms already created. So they're out there. But our software will create a report. Automated software also helps with consistency on the tests. When you run a ResNet, either single point or repeated single point or multi-point test, you get really good consistency. It'll correct for air density, the temperatures, and altitude. And unfortunately, we haven't upgraded to the new version of ASHRAE 62.2. We're still working on the 10 version, really until kind of the dust clears, and at some point, I suspect we may upgrade to 13. But right now, your best option is jumping online and possibly using some of Rick Karg's software on the RED website. There's a pretty good web-based software out there that'll let you calculate your ventilation requirements according to ASHRAE 62.2.13. Again, the softwares will do temperature correction. They'll have baselining features. TechLog 3 does data logging, and again, Multifan testing. So there's lots of good reasons to use the software. The first one I'll talk about is the Apple iOS version. It's called iTech 700. Again, all these softwares free downloads from either from the Apple Store or Google Play. And the most current version is this Android iTech 700 Capture. If you don't have this one, I'd grab it. We're going to add the Capture feature to Apple. We're about 2 to 4 weeks out on that right now. We're still doing alpha testing. We'll get it out for beta testing, and then it'll hit the store. If you already have the software downloaded, when we get the new version, you'll get an automatic update. So it'll all happen automatically. And then our legacy softwares are free downloads from the TEC website 24/7. Just look for the software section, and you can download whatever version you're interested in. Wi-Fi kit basically looks like this. It's the Wi-Fi link, and a power jumper cable. The Wi-Fi link, when it's powered up, is going to have 4 numbered LED indicator lights. And all this stuff, the instruction manual on this thing is going to be up online, but just briefly, light number 1 is going to indicate that it's powered up, and light number 2 is going to indicate that it's ready for network connection. Light 3 will light up when you are connected, and light 4 is going to display activity, that it's sharing information with either your handheld device or your computer. I mentioned this earlier, the power requirements. DG700, 100 plus hours, things seem to go forever. Word of caution, if you have a lot of DG700s with your company or organization and they're sitting, it's usually best to pull those batteries out of there and store them without the batteries in. Worst thing that can happen to old DG700s, let them sit with batteries in them. Get those batteries out and just get the batteries in when you're using them. But you can expect about 100 hours of solid runtime on a good set of alkalins. And again, the Wi-Fi link is really gonna pull it down. There's also, a lot of people aren't aware, but there is a power check feature on all DG700s. Every time you power up a DG700, it's going to go through a kind of a startup mode, and you'll see when you press the initial on-off button, every light on that old display is going to pop on for a second, and then in channel B, in the center where you normally see flow, it's gonna flash the voltage. And what you'll notice is if you do this voltage check with no Wi-Fi link on, you'll get a reading. The minute you power it up, it's going to start pulling volts. And you want to have, with the Wi-Fi link on, you want to have at least 7 volts to get through your test. If not, then find some fresh batteries. So when you're getting started, you're going to connect the Wi-Fi link and the DG702. There's a couple of thumb screws. Screw those puppies in there, get it in there good, and then attach your power jumper cable between the Wi-Fi link and the DG700. Power the DG700 on, and once it's powered on, you'll get the blue, and then it's looking for a connection. Again, blue indicates the Wi-Fi link is powered. The Wi-Fi link as a device has 2 modes of connection. And we call the most common mode is just an access point, or AP direct connect mode. And that's how it's going to ship to you. You're going to get it in AP mode. And there's actually a button on the DG700 that's kind of a reset button that allows you to kind of reboot the Wi-Fi link. So most common use on Wi-Fi link is to go AP mode. But if you're going to use routers, and routers can really be handy. We have a lot of people who'll drag a little Apple Airport Express, about $100 router, and they'll configure their Wi-Fi link in router mode. And once you get it set up that way, once they shake hands, that really increases the range or the distance that you can have between your Wi-Fi link and your whatever device. Excuse me, whatever device you're working with. So router mode can really come in handy for tricky buildings, larger buildings. If you're doing commercial testing, we would strongly recommend that you use router mode. The shielding or the materials in commercial buildings can sometimes prevent the Wi-Fi link from reaching its full potential. But I think we've said about 300 to 400 feet is we've tested the Wi-Fi link. So for residential construction, we get pretty good results. The things that'll throw it off are going to be interference with other signals, and the Wi-Fi link actually has when you press a button, it'll change channels. In fact, there's a really cool piece of freeware out there called ISS Insider. And that's a little piece of freeware that allows you to see on your PC what's going on in the Wi-Fi bandwidth, and you can see where you've got a crowded channel, and you can press press one of the buttons on the Wi-Fi link and change channels. It'll do an incremental shift to another channel, and you want to try and keep it in a nice clear channel. So that little freeware can sometimes help. The calls that we get where guys are having trouble with connections, if you're trying to test a multifamily building and there's lots of signal overlap, you've got everybody's all hooked up and wired, there's going to be a lot of competition for a limited space on the bandwidth, and AP mode is going to have the most trouble. But if you go router mode, you're locking in, and that's really the best way to use that router mode. And again, you're going to, you could try and use somebody else's router, but typically when folks are using this, they will have it all configured in advance, and you'll set it up. I think I'll have, if I have time at the end, I'll show you how you configure a Wi-Fi link in router mode. Again, router mode allows you to extend the Wi-Fi communication. Allows you to have distance. Also allows you to connect multiple DG700s at the same time. I'm gonna skip past that setup. One of the things that you always got to remember, basically when you're on a laptop computer or any handheld device, you are going into your Wi-Fi settings, and you're connecting to the device just like it's a hotspot at a coffee shop. You're gonna see your DG700 show up. There's iTech 700, and I think that yeah, you can see that it's actually showing. Let's go to this one here. There we go. There's how you connect. It'll show up on, this is an Apple screenshot, and the password is always the same. So if you're looking at you're into your wireless settings, you want to make sure your wireless is on. Your individual DG700 has a very distinct serial number, and you're going to select it, and then you are going to go in And the password is always going to be the same. TEC Wi-Fi 12 is your password or security key. And usually once you shake hands with whatever device you're working, it should recognize it and automatically connect to it. So you got to make that connection to your iOS device. And this is what the really all of the devices that we're working with now, whether it's Android or Apple, are going to have this. This is going to be the new face of our gauges. And actually, if you remember that from that, the new gauge will also have this look to it. So you'll see this this screen. It'll come up. The first thing you're going to do when the software pops up is you're going to connect to it. And once you hit connect, it'll start looking for that DG700. And once you're connected, you'll see the state of your batteries will be displayed, and it'll display the DG700 that it's working with. And from there, you will then see a full connection. You'll get that green light flashing at you that your communication has been established. And once it's really talking, that amber light will come on and start flashing at you. Some of the settings that you'll have, pressure on channel A is going to either be, and these are going to be selectable. So you'll have pressure, you'll have a baseline feature. Channel B, you can actually select for a mode setting. You'll be able to select the device that you're working with, and you'll be able to select your device configuration. You'll have a full, there'll be a cruise setting. There'll be a cruise 25, cruise 50, cruise 75, cruise 0, and there'll also be a manual fan speed slider, and then a connect disconnect button that you'll see on the gauge. The Android iTech 700, again, this has been updated and has a new feature that you're not going to have on the iOS just yet. The Connect feature has a button, two new buttons. One will say Create, and the other will be a listing of your stored tests. Again, the screen will look just about the same, but you'll have if you go into the listing, you'll see your saved tests. If you went in, if you were beginning a test, you'd want to if you wanted it to display air changes per hour, you would go in and set your volume. If you wanted the report to display CFM per square foot of surface area of enclosure, kind of one of the new metrics or ways to normalize a blower door test that we're seeing more on commercial testing than anything else. But get used to that one because that's going to be around. That one's gaining traction. That's a good metric. And you can change your flow units. And actually, the capture format. This one's showing that it's doing it in a text file, but you're really going to want to use XML. I think that would be the first thing that you're going to want to do is change that to XML because we've created a spreadsheet, and I'll show you that in a second here. So when you save or capture, when you hit capture, you've got your test running, you're ready to grab it, you hit the capture, and this is what it'll grab. These are the values that will get displayed on a report. It'll have a channel A value showing minus 50 pascals. It'll display your baseline reading. It'll give the channel B value. This one was normalized on volume, so it's displaying air changes per hour at 50. Channel B, it'll actually display the pressure reading that was occurring. That's the actual pressure drop across the flow sensor with reference to the space the flow sensor's in. Give your device, your configuration, time averaging. If you did any inputs with area, volume, it'll do a timestamp, and it'll tell you what your gauge. And there will also be some space that'll allow you to do some labeling, and maybe if this is a pre-test for maybe some weatherization, you could do comments as to where the fan was installed, and some other maybe put some temperatures in and interior and exterior temperatures and your setup. And this one I think is showing, yeah, this one's for the duct blaster test. So this one we just changed up for duct blaster, value 25. Same idea that you're really, you had set this up, and this is what you will capture, these values. And then again, we have an Excel spreadsheet that we'll have to get up on the website. One of the things you'll notice right away is that there's like you have to enable, there's a button, and it's not showing up real well on my screen, maybe it's better on yours, but you're going to have to click a button that says enable content. And if you didn't do that, you would not be able to, there's a button that says load iTech 700 capture XML file. If you didn't enable content, you will not be able to grab a file that you've saved to your that you've saved and sent to yourself. This software, this is something that what you're going to have to do on this to really get this to work. What you're going to do is you're going to save your files, your capture file, and then you're going to send your capture file somewhere. You can either email it to yourself, you can Dropbox it yourself. That's a good way to store. If you have a Dropbox account, you can Dropbox it to yourself. But whatever you've got set up on your device, you can zip that off, and then when you get to a PC running or Apple, if you've got some software that lets you run Excel, then you can open up this spreadsheet and you can create a report that's a lot cleaner. You could just email that test as a text file, but it's just not as clean. And this really lets you, this little Excel spreadsheet really lets you customize and give it a whole new look. You can add your own logo, and if you guys are good with Excel, you can, sky's the limit on this thing. But when you import, let's see if I've got a slide of that. Yeah, this is the Excel spreadsheet, and let's see if I've got one more. There we go. So this is what one of the, once I've imported a file, an XML file, it'll display these results. We don't have a logo on here, but there's the ducts, and let's see what else I got. And okay, that's it on that. Some of the other Wi-Fi softwares. This is again our legacy software, TechTite 4.0 Wi-Fi software. Again, first thing you got to do is if you're working with a PC, you're going to have to make a connection between the device. So you're going to go into your wireless settings, your Wi-Fi settings, and you're going to select your DG700, and same procedure. You're gonna punch in that same password every time and get communication. Some of the little troubleshooting on that. Obviously, you got to have that thing powered up. DG700's got to be on, and you got to be within range of your network. One of the things that we've heard now and then is that some laptop computers have better Wi-Fi radios than others, and on some computers, people just really seem to battle getting a good connection. And we've had pretty good success with some of these external USB Wi-Fi antennas. Some of those new wireless formats can really help. And if you're having trouble, if you're fighting this, that's something to always give a shot, to try that, to pick one of those up. They're not expensive, and it can add range and may solve some of the problems you're having with that. The other thing that you may notice on a Wi-Fi link is that if you are moving between AP mode and router mode, you may have inadvertently gotten into router mode. But the procedure for resetting, and this is kind of rebooting, find button A on your Wi-Fi link. If you're ever having any trouble, the first thing you're always going to do on a Wi-Fi link is reboot. When in doubt, reboot. So find that button A, press and hold for 5 seconds. All the lights are going to flash, and then the Wi-Fi link resets itself in AP Direct Connect mode. And then you'll have to enter your password once again. There's also some software called iTech 700, or that I'll show at the end here, that'll allow you to make some of those connections. TechTite 4.0 has, as I mentioned earlier, it has the new ResNet test, the fully automated one-point test, multi-point test, repeated one-point test. It has the legacy test of the Canadian General Standard Board test that's still on there. It's a real old familiar test a lot of people still use. And again, it still has ASHRAE 62210 on it. We haven't updated. TechTite Express. TechTight Express has kind of a commercial test standard, ASTM E779, and some people are starting to see that or have heard that the 2015 version of the IRC IECC actually references a couple of test standards to do your blower door tests. But that version of the code is going to reference either ASTM 779 or ASTM 1827, I believe, as acceptable test standards to follow when doing a blower door test. Those are pretty rigorous test standards to follow, and most people are honestly not going to be following those on the money. But all depends on what your local code official is going to let you do. But TechTight Express is a simplified version of TechTight. It's not going to get into any of the saving calculations that a lot of people are familiar with in TechTight. TechTight historically has had this feature that allows you to show allows you to show that the savings for air sealing measures. And we're really not we're not pushing that these days. There's much better software programs for showing that. But TechTight Express will have 779 Canadian General Standard Board, and there is a version that we can get you, the EN13829. That's a passive house standard, the German passive house standard, but I don't believe that's on the website. You'd have to call us and ask for that. TechLog 3. TechLog 3 is our commercial testing software. It's a Multifan software. You can connect up to 16 DG700s with 32 pressure channels and configure them any way you want. It allows computerized control of multiple blower door fans. It really is a kind of a sky's the limit. Whatever you can figure out that you need to do, TechLog 3 will let you do it. There's a real learning curve with it, so you're going to want to play with it before you go out into the field and do some actual testing. But once you get the hang of TechLog 3, there's a lot of capability and functionality built into that software, and it is fully Wi-Fi enabled, so you can either do hard cabling or go Wi-Fi with that. TechLog 3, it's graphing software, and all you're really seeing here on the left side of the screen, you'll see in the dead center, that's pascals, so that's zero pressure differential. Our gauges are always measuring a differential pressure, measuring something with reference to something else. And what you can see is a baseline period, and kind of that dotted green line when we're doing commercial blower door tests. We always want to do a pre-test baseline measurement of this one is showing the four corners of a large building, and you can see there's some variation. So this one actually has there's some pretty good variation. This must have been a pretty big building, because we're showing wind gusts and a pressure differential of 20 pascals on this one. And then you can see in the solid green lines, those are captured periods of record, and you can see that we've done periods of record at minus 30, 35, 40, all the way up to minus 75 pascals, and you can kind of read this. So with this graphing software, the beauty of graphing software is that in addition to doing a blower door test with it, you could use it to document or pressure map some type of a performance problem in a building. You could actually use it to document and graph a CAS test or a depressurization test in a building, where you would do a measurement on the CAS with reference to the outside. And if you really want to get fun with it, you can include the pressure in the vent pipe with reference to the main body of the house or to the outside. And you can actually see, you do the main body of the house, but you can actually see then what the pressure is in the vent pipe. And as you slowly depressurize or create a negative pressure in the building, the pressure in the vent pipe, if there's a really strong depressurization, you'll see the vent pipe go positive. It's a natural draft or atmospherically vented combustion appliance. Kind of fun, and you can document it for a report, save it, and include it in any kind of a report document that you have. DG700s. We've been talking about Wi-Fi, but for folks that want to go old school cabling, what you got to bear in mind is that the DG700s, depending on when they were purchased, have different communication ports. Any DG700 purchased prior to 11 of 2009 just came with 2 ports, an old school RS-232 serial port. and then it had a fan control output jack. Those gauges, you're going to need a combination of cables to get that to communicate old school to a computer, to a PC or laptop, and that's what we're using, old serial cables, and then we'll use we'll call it a dongle, and that will convert that RS-232 to a USB, and then you can USB it directly into your computer. If you're using that, we recommend the Serial Gear brand. Anything other than the Serial Gear brand, we have mixed results. May work for you, may not, but we know Serial Gear brand works pretty much every time. You just have to remember to add to run your driver. It comes with a driver disk, and you got to run that driver, or it won't assign it to the proper COM port. You won't see it. Your software won't recognize it. So the other way of doing it is to connect. We have some adapters, and we're still using that serial port in the top, and we've got these little adapters that allow you to convert that serial into a Cat5, and then we can use Cat5 cable. And the beauty of that is, on a large building test, that Cat5 cable, we can run that 3,000 to 4,000 feet and that's a rock solid connection. That is not going to drop out on you. And anybody that's thinking of doing commercial testing, one of the things that we'll always talk about with them is the fact that no matter what, you can go in and you can try and do Wi-Fi connections, but no matter what, you're always going to have a plan B where you hard cable it, because you just never know what you're gonna get dealt in a commercial building, whether or not it's going to communicate. And at the very end, I'll have some shots showing even another way of connecting to this. So anyway, that's your Cat5 cable. I used this for a while just because it gave me on residential testing, because the standard we have a straight USB cable and a port on the newer gauges, but it's still only about 15 feet long. And going with these little adapters and the dongle, the USB dongle, really gives you increased distance. So you don't have to worry about setting up so close to your blower door fan. You can get some distance between your computer and your setup if you put your gauge on right at your door. So this cable, again, we sell these little adapters. They're about $1.50 a piece, no big deal. And you're on your own with your Cat5 cable. And again, that's the Serial Gear adapter that's on there. DG700s purchased after 11 of 2009. Again, we added a USB port. So now you've got the option of going with a 15-foot USB cable. You can still use the old serial COM port, and it always has the fan control output jack. That's the all-new DG700s now come with this kit. There is a piece of software that you got to run. You got to run a driver with that also. So again, on the website, download that, get that driver into whatever computer you're working with, and make sure that that's going to communicate. When you're working with multi-fan commercial testing, if I'm using a triple, and you can see two fans here and the top of the lower fan, but at the bare minimum, you would need 2 DG700s to work with 3 fans. And the typical setup on that is that you're going to have you're going to dedicate channel A on a primary gauge to record the building pressure with reference to the outside. That's your envelope pressure. Then you got 3 additional pressure channels left, and those are going to measure your fan pressures. And you'll convert that fan pressure into a flow reading. You'll do that through the software through TechLog 3. But you can see here what we've done is we're using the Cat5 cables, and then for 2 DG700s, what we've done, it's not showing up real well, but I've got three speed controllers, and I've got a 3-way splitter. So I determined which I'll use one DG700 as my primary. And that'll have the speed control cable plugged into the top of it, and then it'll split off into the 3 fan speed controllers. And then from that primary DG700 and the secondary DG700, I'll use, we're calling it a splitter, but it's really combining the signals right now at this point. It'll combine them, so for that one triple setup, I can run one single Cat5 cable back to home base where I'm recording, data logging my information. This is a simplified view of this. So you're running. You can see I've got that's a hub. That's an 8-port serial hub. So from the gauges forward, you can see the gauges. We've got the adapters. We've got Cat5 cable going into a combiner or splitter. I got Cat5 cable. That's a short run, but again, that could be 3,000 feet. And then I'm going to split them back out and go serial back into my hub, my 8-port hub. And then I got one USB going into my laptop that I'll run TechLog 3 on. Again, those are the adapters that allow you to take advantage of that. Those are the adapters and a hub, and that's how a hub can look like with all the channels filled up. When we're talking about commercial testing, again, here is this is probably one of the trickier setups. But what we're demonstrating here, let's say we have a large commercial building where I've set up two triples. I've got triples on the north. I've got another bank of triples on, let's say, the east, and I've got another bank of triples on the south side of the building. One of the ways, a lot of times with commercial testing, you want to try and minimize the cabling. That if I've got a monster building and I've got 2,000 feet from my master control station to my banks of fans, if I've got to run 6 individual Cat5 cables, a lot of extra work, and I can simplify that by using a smaller router. We've had good success with a battery-operated router called a TP-Link, and these triple banks are all set up on Wi-Fi links. So let's say we go to the north. I've got 4 DG700s, all with Wi-Fi links, communicating a fairly short distance to that one Wi-Fi, to that one TP link. And those TP links have Cat5 cable that you can run. So now I just have one Cat5 cable coming from the north, one Cat5 cable coming from the south, one Cat5 cable coming from the east, going into a larger kind of a beefier link sys that we've used on some commercial projects, and those larger routers will also allow you to pull a signal and shoot it directly into your laptop computer. So this is probably one of the more secure or rock solid ways of connecting. There's nothing that'll ever beat hard cabling them, but a lot of extra work. No matter what, you're always going to have that stuff with you for your plan B. So keep this one in mind. We do have a document online that'll show this, or give us a call, and we can kind of talk you through this. But that's kind of advanced setup with multiple fans. Let's talk about some screen sharing capabilities that we've got. Let me just see if I've got it on here. I'm going to back that out, and let's see if I can do this now. Bear with me. Stop sharing. And okay. And where is that? There's my desktop. Okay. Hopefully that's showing up for you folks. One of the things that I'll show you, let's do this one real quick. This is the new TEC gauge. Here's a real quick demo. You can come in and you'll have your settings where you can set your units, your area, your volume, your fan adjust rate. You've got your Wi-Fi settings, Wi-Fi configuration, so you can do it in either AP mode or router mode. Select your channels and enter your passwords for your routers if you decide to go that route. You can go in and set your mode, pressure flow at 25. You come in and you can use a baseline feature, or want to measure baseline, enter your baseline. You can select your various TEC devices, duct blaster, blower door, and your configuration, what your ring set is. So that's what the new gauge is going to look like again, and it will have a full full wireless capability. The new gauge, we're shooting for late fall. It'll have Wi-Fi, some USB. Anyway, there'll be more to come on that. Sign up on the website to see that. Some of the screen sharing software that we're using these days. There's another free software on the website called iTech 700. iTech 700 is going to look like this. And let's go. I've got to connect to my DG700. First step is to always connect to the DG700. There we go. And whenever you're connected to a DG700, you're going to get that little triangle. And all that means is it's your software telling you don't have internet access. So we'll open the software again, see if we can get it to communicate. There's the DG700, and we'll connect. And you're going to hear a little background noise. I'm going to turn I can do a demo, a little bit of a demo. And we can pick up a little baseline pressure. So we can do baseline. We can change this to flow at 50. I got a Model 3 fan. We're going to put a ring on it. We cruise at 50. And it'll bring it on. And again, you could actually use this as a screen sharing. I flashed a slide earlier showing a piece of screen sharing software called join.me. We use that a lot for troubleshooting, working with customers out in the field. So you could have one individual. This is PC. This is a PC software that you're looking at right now. This iTech 700 for PC. And it's actually got, so I think you get the idea with that. We'll shut that down. One other feature that this software has is, and this is kind of a little hidden feature of the Wi-Fi link that has, it's been there, but we've kind of unlocked it at this point. And a DG700 with a Wi-Fi link on it actually has a standalone data logging feature. So you'd have to use this little piece of software or your Android or iTech 700 and to get into your logging menu, and you'd create a session, and you can label your channels, what they're measuring. You can label a sampling interval, an auto zero interval, how long it's going to log. And then once you start logging, once you hit that logging button, the gauge will appear to go to sleep. One of the lights will come on and flash, but you could just take that DG700. A lot of us have done data logging over the years where we've had to come in. Let's say we want to measure the pressure in an attic with reference to a house, or a room with reference to the house, or even run times on furnaces, whatever we want to. If we want to measure a differential pressure somewhere, we always had to bring a computer and set it up and all kinds of warnings. With this new setup, unlocking the potential of the Wi-Fi link, I can just leave my DG700. I can run it on batteries, or I can power it up with the adapter, and just let it run. And it's a really cool feature that, as I said, we really just started working with on this. So I can close that out. Again, Wi-Fi link. With your Wi-Fi link, if you ever need to go into router mode, this is where you would come in and select your router mode. You're going to have a pass. If you're using a router, you've got to pre-configure your router with a SSID and a password and get it to apply. And then that's how you really kind of launch a Wi-Fi link with a router. So you've got all of those at your fingertip. And again, I think, let's go back to, let's see, can older DG700s be upgraded to internal USB? No, they can't. The older DG7 has one upgrade you can't make. Another question, how long Cat5 cable can you run? Cat5 cable can be run 3,000 to 4,000 feet. Price of the new gauge, we're saying right now it'll be less than $1,500, but we're still not set on that yet. Somebody asks, they have a 2-year-old Wi-Fi link in AP, but they're having trouble with router mode. You know, if you're having individual trouble, give us a call, and we may want to try and make sure that you got the latest versions of all the firmware. There's a firmware update that you can do. So give us a call on that. We'll walk you through that. Okay, folks, I think that's it on the questions. Thanks very much.